Hello everybody, Mike here with you guys once again, and these are my thoughts on the Oculus Quest, which I did an unboxing of a couple weeks ago, a week or two ago, um, and I wanted to do some sort of review / impressions of it, just give my thoughts on it. I'm not going to really call it an official review, and I'm probably not going to do an official review video of it. This is basically the closest thing to it, and that is because I haven't had it for very long, but I wanted to do a video on my thoughts on the Quest before my E3 video. So I got the Quest because I've had a PlayStation VR for a while before I heard about the Quest, and I loved it. It blew me away, all of that. But when I looked into the Oculus Quest and realized that it was going to be a tether-free, wire-free gaming VR headset, not a smartphone or an app, although it does have apps. You know, it's self-contained, but dedicated to gaming. And the thought that came to my mind was, wow, this is like portable VR. This is basically the Switch, the Game Boy, the Vita of VR. And the lineup seemed to back it up. It had a really good lineup that interested me. So when it came out, I picked one up. Plus the price wasn't too bad. So what do I think of it so far, now that I've had some time with it? I only have a handful of games, and I'll talk about those later on, but first of all, the setup process. The initial setup process, I wasn't too fond of, because you had to use, a separate app on your phone to get it set up, but it wasn't too painful, other than having to wait for the initial update, which froze for a bit, which concerned me. But following the instructions wasn't confusing, but I kind of wish that I could just set it up in the headset rather than having to use a smartphone app. But I only have to do that once. Once you're done with that, you don't have to do it again. The headset itself is very similar to the original Oculus Rift design, but it has self-contained cameras. The cameras are located here, and there's two more at the bottom here. And it's cool because I don't have to set up base stations or cameras or anything. Everything is self-contained in here. This does not have headphones. This has speakers that you can hear, and it has really good spatial audio, but there's not a lot of bass to it, and it can get a little too quiet for me, which is hard for me to hear at times. So I end up using my headphones anyway. I use the same headset that I use on my PSVR for this. But I wish they would have had what they had for the original Rift, because it would have helped add to the portability of it and the immersion. It is comfortable to wear, but I do recommend, especially with this, more so than with the PSVR, that you have a fan blowing on you, and that you're in it. And also, I would recommend you, if you can, be in a cold room, because if not, you will start sweating, and it won't take long for that to happen. Especially if you're playing a game where you're being very active and moving around and stuff. One thing there was also an IPD, a physical IPD tracker here, and that's pretty useful. The PSVR's IPD tracking is a bit confusing for me because I don't know inches, and I have tried setting it up a couple times, but I haven't noticed a difference. But here, this is much simpler for me to get. I just adjust it until it looks right to me, and proof I'm ready to go. And unlike the PlayStation VR, where I have to sort of wear it holding down like this almost, where it's almost falling off, to get a clear picture, I can just wear this regularly, and it's a non-issue. I don't have to worry about finding the sweet spot to avoid glare. It's so much more clear here. There's also a volume here instead of dangling on a wire, because I have the version 0.1. Also, there's not one but two headphone jacks. I really don't see the need for two headphone jacks, but they decided to include it, so whatever. The resolution is better here, but at the expense of graphics, and I'll get into that later on because I'm still talking about the design here. One of the things here I noticed that I noticed right away when I first put the headset on is that there is an opening here, and if you look at it or think about it, it can be distracting. When you're playing a game, not so much. It's not really an issue while you're playing unless you're thinking about it. If you're thinking about the game you're playing or after you're using, it's not an issue. But the PlayStation VR, I think, does this better because this covers it up completely on the PSVR, but it doesn't cover up here. It's a minor thing, but I wanted to mention that because I'm kind of making a little bit of comparisons here. Let's see. If you take this off, I'm not going to do it here, but you can put spacers in here, and I need the spacers because I wear glasses. So I'm glad that they did that. However, it does slightly lessen the field of view. And by the way, the field of view here is slightly better than the PSVR. It's only by where the PSVR only has 100 field of view, this has about 110. So it's a little bit better. You're not going to really notice it, I think, while you're using this, but you might if you go back, because even though the difference is marginal, there is a difference there. Let's see. I'm going to go to the controllers now, and these are really nice controllers. My main complaint about them, though, is because I'm not quite used to the design yet. Well, oftentimes I find myself holding them backwards and having to adjust, turn them around because of how they feel. But I love that there is an L and right. And if that's not enough for you, the L has the thumbstick on the left and the buttons on the right, and the right has the thumbstick on the far right. And that's really useful because oftentimes when I'm using my moves, I often have my controllers backwards and I have to switch them around while wearing the headset. So this saves me from having to do that. These also have grips. Now usually on the PSVR, the trigger is also the grip button. But here, the grip and the triggers are separate. And I like this much better than the Vives. These might be a little small for people with big hands. People with small hands, I don't think have a problem. My hands, I think, are kind of in the middle. That's why I don't really have a problem with. I'm able to use both a smaller controller and a bigger controller. So I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to my hands. And these controllers, I can't really complain too much. These are pretty solid controls, and so far I've used the moves, these, and the Vive controllers, and I think these are the best. And most people would agree that the touch controllers are the best thus far, at least until the Knuckles come out from Valve. Alright, so that's the form factor. Now we're going to go into the games portion. I don't have a lot of games for it. I have Vader Immortal, Ocean Rift, Super Hot, Beat Saber, Virtual Reality, Big Screen, the two free roller coaster experiences. Can't remember the name of it, but it's a collection of roller coasters. So I don't really have a lot right now, but I think that Super Hot just soars in this. Without wires, Super Hot that's how Super Hot is meant to be played. Beat Saber with this one, because it's wireless, oftentimes you may have to, move a step to the left or move a step to the right to hit the blocks. But again, that just adds to the motion, the freedom of movement that you get with this. I really enjoy my time with Ocean Rift. It's like having my own aquariums that I can swim through, and the sea animals are incredible. And there's a couple of scary spots in here too. I'm not going to spoil anything, but don't get too comfortable with everything in Ocean Rift. VR chat is another one I have, and that's the one I spend the most time in. Why? Because I get to be a bunny. Now the problem with VR chat on the Quest is that you can't see all the avatars, so that really diminishes the experience. But there is enough there, enough worlds, enough avatars to make it worth experiencing anyway. fact that I can be a bunny is alone worth it, and it's free. Let's see. Also, you can also do custom songs with. If you have a PC, you can add custom songs to Beat Saber on the Quest, which is pretty awesome. I don't have that; I can't do it. But if I had a PC, I could. Big screen disappointed me initially because I can't use YouTube natively on the same device. I can't use the YouTube app and the big screen app. I have to have a PC to utilize to use the YouTube app on my big screen, which is unfortunate and disappointment. But the cool thing about big screen is you have a movie theater, virtual movie theater, and then you can watch movies, share them with other people, hang out, go into other people's public rooms to watch movies. It's pretty amazing. Despite the fact that my internet's slow, and because my internet's slow, I can't really get the full experience because there's always a stutter on the screen. But for those with fast internet, I highly recommend you check it out. Even with my slow internet, and even though I can't fully get the best, maximize the most out of it, it still impressed me. Virtual reality, I just played a little bit of it. I just played the demo. Very Inception-like, very Counting Plus-like, very trippy. Enjoyed it so far. Let's see. Vader Immortal. I definitely enjoyed wielding a lightsaber and meeting Darth Vader. That was an incredible experience. The games lineup on here is nowhere near as amazing as the PSVR's lineup, but this just came out and the PSVR's been around for a while. So only time will tell whether this will improve, but it's off to a pretty impressive start. I can't wait to see what else comes to the Quest. Just today, I found out when I turned my Quest on that Electronauts was available, and I almost got that before I got Beat Saber. But I was like, no, I'm going to get Beat Saber. There is a Guardian system, which is pretty impressive that you can set up, but I would only recommend it for if you're playing room scale, and only if you have the room for it. If you're playing standing or sitting and you're not really moving, especially if you're sitting, you don't need to have the Guardian. And unfortunately, when you first start, you have to look up online how to disable it. You have to sign up for developer, which is very easy. It's not hard to get into developer, but it's a bit of a process. I wish that you could just disable the Guardian and leave it that way. But once you do that, once you go to the initial setup, by going to the internet and looking up how to disable the Guardian, all you got to do from then on out is whenever you turn on your Quest, go to your settings to developer and disable your Guardian, and you won't have. That's a non-issue. Because the problem with the Guardian is it can be immersion breaking. I understand why it's there, but it can be immersion breaking, and there's no point in having that immersion breaking going on when you are not using room scale and you're not walking around. Speaking of room scale, I tested that out with the menu outside at night, and even though you can't teleport or use the sticks to walk around your home screen, you're able to physically walk around your home screen, and it was pretty neat. I liked it, and I love that this has thumbsticks, something the PSVR desperately needs. I should do a comparison video in the future, but for now, here's what I'll say about the Oculus Quest. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a pretty solid headset so far. If you are choosing between this and the PSVR, if you own a PS4, I would still recommend the PSVR because of the games lineup for right now. But that could change in a few years. And for now, but if you don't have anything, this is a great investment and a great way to show off VR very conveniently. Like you can take it to work, you can take it to school. You can take it out and show off VR to even more people. So I really like that Oculus is doing this. I think this is the first true competitor to PSVR. It's also a great addition to owning a PSVR. I wouldn't necessarily use this as a replacement for PSVR, but as an addition to it, I like it. So that's my review / impressions of the Oculus Quest. Definitely need to get more games for it. And stay tuned because I will be doing an E3 video in the future. I'm not going to do any predictions or pre-E3 stuff this time around, but I will do a review of E3 once I've watched all the press conferences. So that's all I got for now, and I'll see you in a future video. Bye.